sentence structure. So we will be starting right now. Yesterday we did this sentence. So let me just go over very, very quickly. And then after that, we will complete with this one. So this one, okay, it basically said, the answer is here, right? However, let me repeat each word. So 이, which is this, 질문에, which is question. So this question. 대한, which is about. 답은, which is answer. So the answer about this question, okay? 것 같아요 would be I think, so she is saying her opinion. So she thinks that the answer about this question will be different. This is from the verb 다르다, to be different. And 사람, which is person, 마다, by person. So it will be different by person, so per person as well. Thank you so much for the like. Thank you. And 안녕하세요, 여러분. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me today on this session. So we will be continuing with this sentence that we will be listening to and then translating right after.
행복을 연구해온 심리학자들의 글을 읽어봤는데
Sorry, I went a little bit too fast. 잠시만요. Okay. So let's repeat that sentence down below together. So 행복을 연구해 온 심리학자들의 글을 읽어봤는데. So that would be how we can pronounce this sentence. However, this word, I'm not sure if it is how it is pronounced. So let me just review it to make sure this word is pronounced.
알 것 같아요. 행복을 연구해온 심리학자들의
심리학자들의. So we don't pronounce the ria in this case. Okay, so let's translate everything together now. So we have 행복을. So what does 행복 mean? Do you guys remember the meaning of 행복? What does that mean? Comment down below if you guys remember what 행복 would mean. So we have seen it a lot of times in the past week. So comment down below if you guys know the answer. Even if you don't know, you can still comment down below and let me know what this word could potentially mean. So comment down below. I will give you a few more seconds to try and guess the meaning of 행복. So comment down below. I will give you guys the answer in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you guys are correct. So 행복 would mean happiness. So here it is from the verb 행복하다, which is to be happy. However, here it is more like a noun, so we can translate that to happiness in English. Then we have 연구해. So I'm not sure what that could mean, but I guess it's something related to, I've seen that word before, but I'm not sure, but I think it would be something like studied or things like that. Another word for study, I think. Yeah, that's what I think too. Another word that I have not seen before for studies. I have seen it actually somewhere, but for some reason I don't remember, but I think it's something related to like study, but I think it's studies in research. Yes, that is exactly what I wanted to do. So here in this case, it is from the verb, I guess, 연구하다, which is to do studies. So studies, but more in a way of researches. But it's more like in depth. Yeah, exactly. So it's more like researches. Thank you so much for the like. So let me just write that down below because I have seen that word before, but I didn't remember the meaning. So that would make sense. So 연구 is researches. Okay, thank you so much for the follow. Thank you. Okay, so here, right, it will be researches about happiness, okay? And then I think in this case, it would be more like the verb 오다, to come but as in adjective. But I'm not quite sure in this case. Let me see if there might be other translation. What book do you usually study from? So actually, I don't really use books to study Korean anymore. I feel like I have come to the level where I just study whatever I want to study. But I'm very big on Korean podcasts. So I learned a lot from Korean podcasts, just like this one, which is from Chesusu, if you are interested. But for books, the books that helped me when I started to study Korean would be Talk to Me in Korean books. I think they are pretty much the go-to, especially if you want to study in order. If you are talking more about books like to not necessarily learn grammar, I really recommend these books, which is Easy Korean Reading. So especially if you want to practice your reading, it's very easy to follow through. So I really recommend this series. It's also very cheap on Amazon, or maybe you can find it on other websites too. What I like about those is that the first part is English and Korean subtitles. So you have the Korean subtitles in darker tone, and then in lighter tone you have the English translation. And then after that you actually have the same stories again, but in Korean only. So what I do is I normally only write on top of the words I don't know the answer, and then after that when I read back the story, I understand most of it. So this one is Easy Korean Reading. They have, I think, about 10 books, if I'm not mistaken. So yes, do they have a beginner part too? That looks intermediate. Are you talking about the Korean podcast? So yes, this one is actually intermediate, but she has beginner ones. So if you want to, oh my god, this is so not straight. Very sorry about that. Yes, this one is actually intermediate. However, if you are beginner, you can still follow us through. But she also does beginner ones. So normally what we do is that 1 week is beginner, 1 week intermediate, to kind of give us a better challenge. So next week we will actually review a beginner podcast if you want to join us, but you can still join us today, as I try my best to explain everything even for beginner levels. So I feel like most of my followers are beginner levels as well. So yes, I feel like these podcasts really help them for that reason. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Okay, so let's continue just to make sure if there might be okay, so here I'm not sure because it could potentially be from the verb oda, right, to come, but here in this case it would sound a little bit weird, but apparently it can also mean all or entire. If anyone wants the file for vitamin 1, I can give that to anyone who wants it. Oh, I heard about vitamin, but I've never actually used that one. Is it good? I heard some things about it before, but yes. Okay, so let me just see, maybe together with 연구해, maybe there is a grammar pattern that would be with that. 연구해. Okay, yeah, it's just together. It would just make it in kind of the past tense. Okay. So with the on, it kind of makes it in the past tense. So they researched about happiness. So that would be how this would be put. Okay, so then after that we have 심리학자들의. So we have the 들 particle. That, do you guys remember what the 들 mean? Comment down below. I'm going to be asking you guys the easiest question because, I mean, maybe from the translation of the sentence you might know what this word would mean. However, what does the 들 mean? Comment down below. I will be asking you a little bit of easier questions. Hi, Rennie. Thank you so much for being here today. How are you doing? I just saw your answer. But what does the 들 mean? Comment down below if you guys remember what the 들 would mean. Comment down below. Even if you are not sure, you can still comment what the 들 would actually mean. Hi. Yes, hi. So what does the 들 would mean? Comment down below. Even if you are not sure, you can still try and guess the meaning of the 들. So I will give you the answer in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I see that Rani had it. So actually, whenever you add till to a word, yes, Susanna, that is correct. So it actually makes the word in front of it plurals. So for example, in English, some words you need to add an s to make it plurals, right? The same with French, so it can be the same way. So it's as if you add like an s to make it plural. So here it's multiple 심리학자, which would be psychologists. So let me just write that down below, even though I'm pretty sure I might never use that word in Korean, but at least I will have writing it down somewhere. 학자. Okay, so it's fun because we learn a lot of words that I wouldn't have necessarily learned by myself. So let's see if I will remember them. That's another thing. Okay. So yes, that would make it plurals. And then we have, so it's psychologist with an S because there is more than one. Then we have the E particle. Do you guys remember what the E would mean? Comment down below what the E would mean whenever it is attached. So technically there are two different particles that are attached to this word. So what does the E would mean? Comment down below. What does the E would mean? Do you guys know? Do you remember? We see that a lot of times in my Korean podcast normally. So comment down below if you guys remember or want to try to guess the meaning of this particle. So I will give you the answer in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You guys are doing amazingly once again. You remember everything. So yes, you guys are correct. This is like a possessive particle. It is, means ownership. Yes, that could also mean that. So in English, we can translate that to apostrophe S. So it's something that belongs to this word, which is psychologist. So what does belong to the psychologist? It would be gö를, which here is translated as work. However, I'm not sure if it's like something more specific in terms of like, earlier they said studied, but it's more like researched. So let me just see to make sure what that would mean. So okay, I guess we can put that more into like essay. So it is like writing, text, learning, study. This is so yeah, that is something related to something that is written. So I guess in English we can maybe say like essays in this case. That would be how kul would be translated. So something that is written. So here she put work. So that would make sense in English, right? We say some work. However, it is more specific than just some work. So it is like written. So written work or like essays, that is how that could be translated. So let me just write that down below because those words are very, very interesting. And then after that, we have here, which is normally from the verb 읽다. Do you guys know what 읽고 would mean? Does any of you guys know what 읽고 would mean? Comment down below. This is an easier word that you might be familiar, especially if you are a beginner. So comment down below if you might know the meaning of this word, which is normally from the verb 읽다. 읽다, however, in this context, especially since there is a vowel after that, it's more like 읽고, 읽고. So comment down below if you guys know what this word would mean. So it is originally from a verb which is called 읽다. So you might have seen it multiple times before, or maybe not. Does any of you guys know the answer? Comment down below. Even if you are not sure, you can still try and guess the meaning of that word. So I will give you the answer in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So yes, Rani and Merv had it. Actually, it means to read. So this is from the word to read. Okay, so here the verb to read, which is right, just right here in the sentence. So you want to use that verb when you want to talk about, for example, reading a book, reading an essay, reading an article. Okay, you can use that verb. However, it is kind of, how can I say that? It is not linked, but it is connected, right, with this verb as well. So technically, because as you guys know, in Korean, the verbs is always last. So if there is another verb in the same sentence, it means that the verb that is in the middle doesn't have the purpose of a verb anymore. It is either changed into, like, for example, nouns, adjectives, or sometimes even adverbs. So that is something else that we need to remember. So here in this case, technically it doesn't have really the purpose of the verb anymore. I mean, here technically it is plugged with 봤는데. So here it is from the verb 보다. However, here it has a double 시옷. So do you guys remember what that means when there is a double 시옷 in a verb? Comment down below if you guys remember what that means when there is a double 시옷 in the verb. Unless it's like part of the verb stem, then it doesn't work. But do you guys remember what that would make the verb into? What would the verb turn into? Sorry. Comment down below. I'm gonna give you the answer after I drink a little bit of water. Okay, so I will give you the answer in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you guys are correct. Thank you so much for the follow. Thank you. So this makes it into the past tense. So technically it is from the verb 보다, which is to see, to watch, to look, okay? Here in this case it's more like in the past, so we can say looked, saw, watched. But when it's paired with another verb, it doesn't really have the purpose of watching anymore. It's more like doing the action, right? So here it's like read the work or the written essays of the psychologist. Okay, so here technically it doesn't have the purpose of seeing anymore. I mean, reading technically, while you read, you're still looking, right, at the text, so it could work. That is why they also paired a lot of times some verbs with the verb 보다. And then after that, we have this grammar pattern. Does any of you guys know what this grammar pattern ending would mean? So technically, this is not the end of the sentence, right? Because you see there is no dot. So there is another part that will come after that. Hello, thank you so much for joining today. How are you doing? Hopefully you're having a wonderful day. So does any of you guys know what that would mean? So I'm going to give you a small hint. It has the same meaning as, no, that wouldn't work. Yeah, never mind. Okay, so I'm gonna give you the answer. Plenty XO was correct. So it means but. So there is kind of like a cause and a reason to something once again. So if you are familiar with my Korean live streams, you know that I always let you know. Sorry about that. I think my dog is dreaming right now. So she is in another world. So if you hear my dog barking, it's because she's dreaming. Anyways, so as I was saying, it's a connector, right? Yes, exactly. It's a connector that is always plugged to another verb or sometimes adjectives that is turned into a verb. So yes, it is never on its own, and it's always ending with nde. So it's kind of seeing like a cause or a reason to something. So we will know a little bit more after that what she wants to say. So right here she is saying basically that she read, okay, some written work of psychologists that researched about happiness, but, and then we will know the rest of the sentence. Okay, so hopefully this makes sense to you guys. So a lot of times you will see nde at like the end of the first part of the sentence, but it is almost never ending in nde. So the only time that actually it will end in nde and there won't be anything afterwards is if the listener already knows what's the rest of the sentence is. Okay? So it's very in rare cases, but most of the time, like 75% of the time, there will be a continuation to the sentence. So hopefully it makes sense. It is very rare, only like 25% of the time, that you will see the ending of the sentence in nde. But in that case, if it's ending in nde, it's because the listener already knows like what would come next. So that is why the speaker is not letting us know. So when it's very obvious what the rest of the sentence is, that's when you can end the sentence in nde. Thank you so much for the follow. Thank you, thank you. How do I subscribe, please? Are you talking about like the paid subscription or something? Is that what you are talking? Normally, if this is what you are talking about, you should be able to find over on my profile a button that says subscribe. So if you go over on my profile, that should be where you would see the subscribe button. I think normally I would need to actually do it myself, like on another account, but I think that is how normally this should work. Thank you so much for the rose, Sophie. Thank you. Really, really appreciate it. You're the best. Okay, so we will be continuing with the next sentences. However, if you have any questions about that one, feel free to comment down below and I will explain better to the best of my abilities. Thank you so much for the heart me as well. Thank you. Okay, so let's continue now.
글을 읽어봤는데 공통적으로 말하는 행복의 핵심 요소는 자유, 관계, 의미이더라고요.
Okay, so this sentence is very, very long, right? It's one of the longest sentences that we have gone through so far. So let's repeat the rest of this sentence together. So 공통적으로 말하는 행복의 핵심 요소는 자유, 관계, 의미이더라고요. Oh my god. 의미이더라고요. Okay, so this is an ending that we see a lot of times, but I have never seen with this particle in the middle. Okay, so let me repeat a little bit slower for you guys. 공통적으로 말하는 행복의 핵심 요소는 자유, 관계, 의미이더라고요. Okay, so let's translate everything together. So we have 공통적으로. So I think this is a word that we have seen yesterday. Let me just see if I have written it. No, this is another word that is very, very similar. I thought yesterday we learned about 경제적인. So I think it's a little bit similar. This was Anne-Louise yesterday that said that 적인 technically would be like a suffix, like ending in istic. But here, since it's 적으로, I'm not sure if that would be the same. Does any of you guys would know what this word would mean? I have seen it before. 공통? I have seen it. 말하는? Maybe it's common. I think this should be like common. Let me just double check on my best friend Naver Korean dictionary. But I think it's like something common. Yes. And 적, what does that mean? Common, yeah. Oh my god, I'm great. Okay, so commonness, I didn't even know this word existed. Very, very interesting. But we can just say common, generally or commonly. Yes, exactly. So let me just write that down below to make sure that I don't forget about it, because I forgot about that word. So this is something I will need to review once again. 공통적, which is commonly. So here, I guess in this case, it's more like words ending in ly than yesterday. It was istic. Anyways, those type of words. And then we have after that, 말하는. Do you guys know what that means? Oh, the emoji is so cute. Where did you get that, Sophie? That is so cute. Oh my god. So what does 말하는 would mean? Comment down below if you guys know what 말하는 would mean. This is from the verb 말하다. Does any of you guys know what 말하다 would mean? So this is a verb that has basically almost the same meaning as 이야기하다. So if you guys know the meaning of 이야기하다, you might know the meaning of 말하다. So comment down below. I just read one comment, and that is why. But you guys are having great answers, so I will give you a few more times if you want to try and guess the meaning of the word 말하다, except in this context. Like I said, hi, I'm working at college right now. Hi, Stefan. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us quickly. How are you doing today? So, like I mentioned earlier, okay, I will let you guys know this weekend of the official schedule for next week. I am in your fan club. I just subscribed. Oh, thank you so much, Sophie. Really, really appreciate it. Also, when you subscribe, you have this emoji, like those emoji. That is so cool. I didn't even know. Like, I only added in the subscription, like, the things, but I guess the emoji comes with it automatically. That is amazing. Thank you so much, Sophie. Really, really appreciate, and I hope that you will enjoy the extra content that I'm putting out each week. So good. Yay. Yeah. Oh yes, I saw this emoji. That is so cool. I'm very jealous. I almost want to subscribe to myself to be able to use those emojis. That is amazing. Okay, so yes, you guys work correctly. So this is from the verb 말하다, which is to speak. So you guys are correct. This is from the verb to speak. Thank you so much for the rose, Sophie. Thank you. You're the best. So here, it will be speaking or talking, okay, commonly, okay? So about common things. So let's continue, right, with the rest of the sentence. It might make more sense moving forward. But here, this is from the verb 말하다, to speak or talk. However, here it has more the purpose of a noun, if I'm not mistaken, in this context. Okay, so let's jump to the next word, which is 행복. Thank you so much for the like. Thank you. So 행복, we know that it is happiness. We have the e particle, which makes it the possessive of the happiness. Okay, so apostrophe s. That is how you remember in English. So what does belong to the happiness? It's 핵심, which I'm not sure exactly. Is it 핵심? I'm not sure. So it might be elements? I don't know. Let's check. There are a few words that I'm not sure of that. Oh, but since we have the... No, it's hack. Never mind. I was like, it would be associated to learning. Features? Maybe. I don't know what that one is. Yeah, that is a very new words, right? That is amazing. We love learning new words. Key, center. So you were I think it's elements. Yeah, that is correct. So it's like elements, but more like the core of something or the key to something. So the main point, just like here. So the main, the key, the core, the center. So that is how. So elements could work, but it's more like very centered. Okay, so let me write that down below. And apparently it's also from Hanja as well, 2 Hanja characters. Sadly, I don't learn the Chinese character while I learn Hanja, so I wouldn't be able to let you guys know the meaning of those ones. But I think Shim, if I'm not mistaken, it's like something related to, not emotions, but like something like that. But I don't want to, I'm not sure. I feel like I have seen the Hanja character of Shim, but I'm not sure if it means like something that is like core center, like in the kind of emotions. Not sure. I don't want to say, okay, things. You are making college less boring. Oh, really? I'm happy to hear that. Thank you so much for, hopefully you're not joining, not illegally, but you know what I mean. That you are not joining when you shouldn't be joining. But thank you so much for taking time to, take a few minutes to join us today. Oh, yes? Okay, so I will try not to speak too loud just to make sure that you don't get busted. But, okay. So here we have 핵심, which is the core, the center. I'm wearing AirPods. Yes, I hope so. I hope so. So, hi, is this intermediate video good for topic 2, level 3? So yes, I guess this intermediate video, because a lot of words that I have researched are like in between 2 to 3 stars. So yes, topic 2, 3 could work in this case. It is independent studies, no worry, this is technically studying. Okay, yes, exactly. They just didn't specify what you needed to study, but yes, that is amazing. Okay, so we have 핵심, because I'm sure that, I mean, I'm not sure, but possibly you are not learning Korean in school, or maybe you are, but yes. Anyways, so here it would be like the key to core of happiness, right? So the main point of happiness, we have 요소는. Okay, so not sure. 요소는 might be something related with the key, right? The main reason. So wow, today there is a lot of words that I'm not familiar with. It's crazy. Okay. Oh, element. Okay. So here in this case, my nose is bleeding. Gotta go. Oh no, take care. Sorry for interrupting, but do you know what's the difference between 비밀 and 비결? So I'm not exactly sure the difference, but in the case, I feel like 비밀 would be more like a secret, right, that you tell to someone. Let me just double check. There might be a specific meaning. But right, in my head, 비밀 is more like, you're giving a secret to someone or something like that. And I think like maybe 비결 would be more like how can you say that? Not the literal meaning, but it's not like the actual meaning of like secret. Does that make sense? So let me just see if there is a specific difference, because sometimes there is, but I am not familiar. But both of them mean secret, but there might be a slight difference. Let's just see. Okay. So yes, there is a specific meaning, so there is a slight difference. So 비밀 is more like, right, a secret that you tell to someone, okay, or that you don't want to tell to someone. And 비결 is more like unknown or a special way of doing things on one own. So it's something that is unknown. So it's kind of a secret, but more in a metaphoric way. So it means more like something that is unknown. So it doesn't literally mean secret, but it's more like something that is not unknown. So the secret of happiness, it's more like something that, right, not a lot of people know actually what is the secret to happiness. So it's not like secret as if like I'm gonna give you the secret, like no one the secret in like it is a secret. Okay, it's more like a philosophical way of saying that something is unknown. So hopefully this makes sense to you guys. I didn't know that there was a specific difference, because sometimes there are, the same words that have the same meaning. So yeah. Okay. So now we know a little bit more of the difference of those two words. Thank you so much for asking, Nia. I'm very happy to know that you are back here today as well. So let's continue, okay? So yes, you guys were correct earlier. You mentioned that it was element. So here, 핵심 would be more like the core, the key, the middle, the center, and 요소 would be element. So the key element or the key core to happiness. So here, in this case, 요소 would be elements. Oh my god, yeah, I didn't even read the translation, but that makes sense, right? We have key and elements. So that is why probably you guys said elements earlier. Sometimes I just, I see that there's a translation, but I don't really look at it. So that is why sometimes I might seem a little bit lost, because I want to try my best to understand from myself and not from the translation that I see right here. Okay, so here would be like elements or component. Let me just write that down below. Oh, and apparently it can also mean factor. So that is interesting. It has like three different translations that could work. It can also mean points, but yeah, that would make sense. So the key points or the key elements, components to happiness are those three. Okay? So we have seen yesterday, I think we have seen that one, right? Let me just check. Maybe we have actually seen both of them. Tayu. Or maybe it's in my head. Maybe it's because we have seen it previously somewhere. Not sure. 관계. I feel like we have seen yesterday, but I don't seem to have it anywhere. Maybe it's in my head. Maybe it's in my head. Maybe I saw it somewhere else. 관계. The other one was 여유. So it's not 자유. It's 여유 that we saw yesterday is having more than enough time, space, or money. Okay, so these words are very, very similar. I mean, similar, they only have one syllable that are the same, but you know. Okay, oh, oops, what the hell happened? Okay, sorry about that. Let's just go back quickly. We will go, does any of you guys know what 자유 would mean? So I think it might be, because I feel like 관계 might be the relationship. Might be. 자유? Freedom? Yeah, I think that would be the freedom. Let me just double check just to make sure, but I think that would be correct. You? 자유? Yeah, freedom. Freedom. Interesting. So let me write that down below as well. 자유. Freedom. Okay, amazing. And then in this case, I'm pretty sure that 관계 would be relationship, but I don't know if there is another word that might be more accurate, because I feel like her translations often are like a little bit not specified, right? Yeah, relationship. It can also mean to be concerned. That is probably where I saw that word before. So it can be relationship, but in some context, it can also being related, being concerned, or being relevant. So that is where I saw this word before. So I saw it as this second definition, but it can also mean a relationship. Okay, so that is amazing. We are learning a lot of words today. Hopefully you are learning as many words as I am today. So 관계, which is relationship, but I'm also going to be writing the other translation because I have seen those ones before, related and concerned. Amazing. Okay, so this is probably from a verb. I'm not sure what that would be, but let's continue. And then we have 힘이, right? Does any of you guys know what this word would mean? Comment down below if you guys know. What would be this word? What would be this word? I'm trying not to say the answer. So what would this word be? What would it be in English? Comment down below if you know what this word, right? Just on its own, without this part, which is the grammar pattern, but just on its own. Comment down below what this word is. What it is. I really want to say the word so badly because I say that every time that I explain a Korean word. So what does this word is? What is it? Oh my god, I literally use it all the time. I'm working very, very hard with my brain to not say it. So comment down below if you guys know if you guys know what this word is. I almost said it. Okay, I will give you the answer, okay, because I cannot hold myself more anymore. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You guys are correct. It is meaning. So a meaning, what something means, okay? So that is why I had a hard time because I wanted to say, what does this word mean? But obviously I was giving you guys the answer if I said it like that. Do you know the difference between with me and it? I'm not exactly sure. I know like both of them have a similar meaning, but I wouldn't be able to explain to you exactly. So let's go and search for that as well so that, we are more clear on that. Let me just switch clearly. Yes, and okay. No, where is it? Okay, yes. And did. Okay. I forgot to write meaning, so let me just write that very quickly. Meaning. I mean, not meaning, let's put difference because that would be easier. So let's go on this one. So we will be able to understand better the difference, hopefully. They mean the same. I think Korean. Okay. Okay, so the difference is basically they both mean the same thing. However, I feel like in casual speaking, tit would be used more often, like they said here. So when talking with a friend, okay, they use more tit than me. So I guess it's more casual. Let's see if there is maybe other 같아요, the same. Okay. 같은. Yes, they say it's the same, but whenever you are speaking to your friends, you use more did than me. So hopefully it makes sense to you guys. So, sometimes I prefer double checking. I know like they often have the same meaning, those words, but sometimes there is a slight difference. So it's always great to check to make sure that, right, we know the difference. So here in this case, technically there is not much. Okay, and then right after we have this ending. So we have seen a lot of this after a word. We have seen that a lot of times before. Would you guys remember what 라고 would mean when it is added to a word? So does any of you guys would remember? We have seen it a lot previously in my other Korean study live streams. So would any of you guys know what 라고 would mean when it is added? So I see some answer that wouldn't be the case in this case because the go is not on its own. It's paired with the so it makes a slight difference. So the best way that I will explain it because I think it's a little bit hard for you guys. But here, this part 라고 is often used when you want to explain the meaning of something. So for example, last week we saw 단풍, which means like the fall leaves that are changing colors. And then she explained to us, okay, that what was the meaning of 단풍. And then she wrote like 단풍라고. So it is the meaning of this word. With, so it wouldn't mean with, it's more like explaining something. So you can say that like that is how it's called. So for example, if you are explaining something, you can say this word is how it's called. So whenever you are adding 라고, that is what it would mean. So technically that is a little bit how she is saying it. So okay, so let me translate real quick. So we have so people commonly say, okay, so overall they say that happiness key elements, okay, is freedom, relationship, and meaning, but that is how we call that. I remember now. Yeah, exactly. So here in this case, in this sentence in English, we wouldn't, because that would be weird if we say like that is how it's called, right? Or that is how we say it. So that can be another way of like how to say, like we say that the key elements to happiness would be relationships, freedom, and meaning. So that would be how we can a little bit say that, but in English it would be hard to translate in this context, so that is why she didn't really added it, but it basically means like that is how it's called, or that is how we call it. So a lot of times you will see that when you are explaining something specific. So that is also why she used that term, because she is explaining that right to a lot of people. Happiness core value or core elements would be those three. So that is another way to say that. So yes, that would be how we would translate this sentence. Do you guys want me to do one more sentence, or should we stop for today? Can it also be used when you're quoting someone's word? Yes, exactly. So you can also do that when you are quoting someone's word. Okay, so you can say, for example, what the person said, rago, and it will be like what this person said. Okay, so it would also makes it like what someone said specifically. So it can either be to like explain the meaning of a word, or also when you quote someone speaking about something and then you put rago after that, it can mean like that is what they said. So that is also another way that we can explain this part of the grammar pattern. So do you guys want me to do one more sentence? Comment down below if you guys want me to do one more sentence for today. If not, we will see each other next Sunday at 11 a.m., which is basically from this time until an hour later. So Sunday we will actually be studying Hamza again. However, I will find a solution so that it doesn't lag like last week. If you have time, yes. Okay, so we will do one more. But yes, as I was gonna say, this Sunday we will be studying Hamza together. So like we did last Sunday. However, I will find a way for my computer to not like lag, because I think I was opening too many windows that were taking a lot of energy from my computer. So yes, thank you so much for the rose, plenty. Thank you. So let's do one more sentence after we will end it for today, but we still have a little bit more time for one sentence.
자유, 관계, 의미이더라고요. 자유는 행복의 가장 중요한 요소 중 하나인 것 같아요.
Okay, so this sentence luckily is short, so we love that. Let's repeat that sentence together. So 자유는 행복의 가장 중요한 요소 중 하나인 것 같아요. So we have seen that ending yesterday as well, so very interesting. So let's translate that one now. So I will be testing you guys, because a lot of those words we have seen today. So I will test you guys to see if you remember. So what does tayu would mean? Comment down below if you remember what tayu would mean. What does that mean? If you took notes, you can look at your notes and see what tayu means. So we have seen it literally in the sentence just before. So comment down below if you remember the meaning of that word. What does tayu would mean? Comment down below if you remember what tayu would mean. Even if you don't know, you can still try and comment down below, as it is a great way to actually remember better the words. So I will give you the answer in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Also, thank you so much for the follow. Also, if you are new, don't forget to follow me just right here. I go live 3 to 5 times each week where I study Korean together, just like today. So you guys are correct. This is freedom. So 자유는, which is freedom. So we know that this is the topic of the sentence. So the main point of the sentence is about freedom. So she's probably gonna tell why to some people freedom is the most important part in happiness. So I have 행복해, 행복, which is happiness. He particle, like I mentioned, it is a possessive. So something that belongs to happiness. What it is? This. Okay? So we will see. We have 가장. Do you guys know what 가장 would mean? What does 가장 would mean? Do you guys know what 가장 would mean? I guess it's a word of levels. Frequency. Can we call that frequency? 가장. or maybe more of like levels of intensity. Can we call it like that? Maybe. Does any of you guys know what 가장 would mean? Comment down below if you guys know what 가장 would mean. Does any of you guys know? Comment down below. I will drink a little bit of water, and after that I will give you the answer. So what does 가장 mean? You guys don't remember? Okay. It's totally fine. So 가장 is basically, it can mean the most or the best, like it's at the top. So basically, it is completely at the top. So there's nothing that is kind of like really very, yes, that can be a little bit like that, but it's more intense than really or very. It's like the most. It's really at the top. So nothing can beat that. So 가장, the most, or in some contexts, it can also be the best, depending on what's after. But here in this context, it would mean more like the most. So the most 투영한. Do you guys know what this is? This is from the verb 중요하다. So this is from the verb 중요하다. However, in this context, it has more the purpose of an adjective. So comment down below if you guys know what the verb 중요하다 mean. So what does this verb mean? Or if you know it as an adjective, you can also comment down below which adjective that will be. So I will give you the answer in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So plenty are correct. This is important. So here it's saying the most important. And then after that we have 요소. So 요소, do you guys remember? We have seen it earlier. Do you guys remember what 요소 would mean? Comment down below if you remember, or if you took notes, right, of that word. Comment down below. We have seen it in the sentence before. So what does 요소 would mean? Comment down below if you know the answer, or if you want to try and guess the meaning of this word. So I will give you the answer in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you guys are correct. Plenty, Merv, and Rani, and Anne-Louise. You guys are all correct. So also, bonjour, Anne-Louise. I'm not sure if I said hello to you earlier, but just to make sure. So you guys are correct. 요소 is element or point. That is also how we can translate that. So element, component, factor, all that. So here I would say the most important element to happiness. Okay, so all of this, right, those 3 words belongs to happiness. So that is a lot of words that belongs to happiness, but this is yes. So happiness, most important elements. So this is the first part of, right? So it is, okay, the freedom, that is the most important element to happiness. So let's go with the next part of this sentence. So here we have tung once again, but I'm not sure it has the same meaning as like important. So let me just check, because I think it has a different meaning. So on its own. Okay. Interesting. Hi again. Hello, Stefan. Thank you so much for, hopefully your nose is going better. Okay, so here, tung is like a noun to refer something out of many. Okay, so of course there are many, okay, important elements, but it's one of them. So that is what tung would mean. So it's a noun, a bound noun. I don't know what bound noun would mean. A bound noun used to refer to a state that one is in. Do you guys know what a bound noun is? I guess it's maybe like something, a noun like that complements a noun. Maybe that is what a bound noun would mean. That is the first time I hear that in English. So let me just show it to you guys. I personally haven't heard of that. Me neither. But apparently it's probably like something that complements a noun, right? But it refers to something out of many. Okay. So it's basically kind of connected to, right, this part of the sentence non autonome. Mais c'est quoi un non autonome? J'ai jamais entendu ça en français aussi. Is it like a noun that doesn't mean anyone else? He can do his own thing? Is that what that would mean? No idea. Wait, let me search because I'm very curious. What is a bound noun? Okay, so let's see. Ah, ok. Dans ma définition de... Okay, so basically a bound noun is... it's not an English term, apparently. That is standard. So it's a grammatical concept where a word cannot stand alone and must be attached to another word to be meaningful. So that makes sense. So it basically means like it would be the opposite of non autonome, to be honest. Because he is not autonome at all. So basically, it's a word that whenever you add to a sentence, he cannot be on its own. Like, yes, you find him right with spaces. So he is on its own, but he doesn't have a meaning if it's not paired with other nouns, if that makes sense. So here in this case, tung wouldn't make sense if we wouldn't have this part of the sentence, because obviously like the meaning is something out of many, so it wouldn't make sense if it was just added randomly. So it always needs to be paired with other nouns to make sense in the sentence. So here it's more like, right, the most important element to happiness is freedom, but it's out of many other elements. So it's not the only important elements of happiness, right? There is other ones as well than freedom. So yes, that would be how I guess tung would be explained in Korean from to English. Does that make sense to you guys? Hopefully it does. Thank you so much for the like. Okay, so that was very interesting. I feel like I have seen it previously, but I haven't put much thought into it. And then we have hanain. So I guess, yeah, it does. Okay, perfect. A bound noun is a noun that needs another word next to it to make sense. Yeah, exactly. So that would be the translation to a bound noun. Never heard of that before, but that is very interesting. Apparently, it is not really English. It didn't come from English, so it probably came from another language but was translated into English later on. No idea. So because I don't think in English there is really words like that where you need to pair it with another word for it to make sense. Maybe there is in English, I'm not sure, but that would make sense that it didn't originate from English, right? And then we have hanain. So it's just like one, okay? I guess because in normally is associated with person, but here in this case, I don't think that would be the case. I think it's just like one. Let me just confirm if it changed anything. The in, that might be a counting unit, one of something. Very interesting because it doesn't give any result. Let's see, maybe on papago. Never says it doesn't make sense. One person. Okay. Yeah, here it says one person, but because in Hanja, hin is associated with person. So, for example, like Hangukin, it would be like a Korean person. That was the first example that I had in my head. But yeah, so I'm not sure in this case what that would mean, because even on Naver, it doesn't say anything. And then in Papago either. So I guess it's a counting unit for one, but yeah, it can be both used for people and things or even ideas. Oh, really? Interesting. But I'm not sure what that would change in this case, right? Hmm. Okay. Interesting. And then let's end with the last part of the sentence, which is 것 같아요. Do you guys remember what 것 같아요? So it would just mean one among others. Mm. So it's kind of like repeating again. Or is the tung paired with this one? Maybe? Huh. Mm. So I guess, yeah, I guess the tung is paired with this one. Yeah, it's just like repeating again. Yes, Korean people, it's very interesting because they really like to save time, but in a lot of sentences, they repeat 2 times the same thing. So sometimes it's very confusing. So, yes, it's just repeating again. Very, very interesting. Okay, so does any of you guys remember what 것 같아요 would mean? Comment down below if you remember what 것 같아요 would mean. Comment down below what that could mean. So I will quickly go over it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I won't go in depth today in what 것 같아요 would mean because it's actually, I'm giving you a little bit of spoiler, but it is basically the Korean Friday tip that will be coming out tomorrow. So that is why I will explain it very, very quickly. It's really funny how this week we have it 2 times. And this is the week that I decided to use that thing. And then we have never really seen it before. I mean, maybe a couple of times, 1 or 2 times in my Korean study live streams, but it's very funny that the week I decide to do a video about it, that is when we see it the most. So, 것 같아요 basically means I think or it seems like. So, saying your opinion or saying something that you think is the truth without necessarily it being a fact. So, that is how you would translate 것 같아요. So, she thinks, okay, that freedom is one, okay, out of the most important elements of happiness. Is recall, right? 것 같아요 wouldn't be to recall. This would be more like I think. The recall is 떠올리다. So recall, to recollect, it is the verb 떠올리다. So it is a different verb, but you will see if you watch tomorrow's Korean Friday tip, you will understand better 것 같아요, what that means. And also I gave you a small tip to actually remember the meaning of that word in this video. So stay tuned tomorrow for the Friday Korean tip, and you can also comment in the comment sections of that videos what you want me to cover next for next week as well. So if you are interested, okay, you can watch tomorrow's video, Korean Friday tips. And if you guys are not familiar with that, it's basically every Friday I give you one Korean tips that is based off on what you are having struggle with. So this is a mini series that I created just to, be able to create the content that you guys actually need. So this is very exciting, but before we end it for today, I just want to remind you guys that if you had been wanting a little bit more of support in your Korean learning journey, I also offer right now one-on-one Korean tutoring sessions for beginners. So it is really personalized to what you exactly need. It's 25 USD for 30 minutes or 45 USD for 1 hour, but most people start with the 30 minutes to see how it feels and to not feel overwhelmed. So you can book it directly through the link in my bio if you are interested. So also as a small reminder, the emoji for this week. Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup, Anne-Louise, pour le sundae. 고마워요. Very yummy. Very, very yummy. So this Sunday, okay, I will be going live again. We will be studying Hanja again. So please join us if you want to be able to understand Korean vocabulary more easily with Hanja. So this is going to be a very, very fun activity that we will be doing this Sunday. And yes, that is about it. Do you guys have any questions? If not, that will be the end for today. So yes, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I can wait a little bit. If any of you guys have any questions, I can answer right now. Also, if you guys are new, sorry about that. Before we leave, you can just follow me just right here. I go live 3 to 5 times each week where we study Korean together. 감사합니다, 선생님. 고마워요. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, and I hope that we will see each other this Sunday. And like I mentioned to you guys, I will give you this weekend the official schedule for next week. So I feel like some days I will be doing it earlier, like today, and some days a little bit later, just to make sure that, everyone is able to at least watch one time per week. I want to remind you one last thing. If you guys are not able to make it to any of my Korean study live streams, I actually post them all on my YouTube channel, which is Audrey in Seoul. So you can always rewatch them if you were not able to make it, or if there are some parts that you didn't have time to take notes, you can always review that on my YouTube channel. So yeah. Bye. I wish you a wonderful day. Bye, friend. Bye. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. Okay, so I will see you this Sunday. 안녕히 계세요, 여러분. Have a nice day, everyone. Bye, Audrey. À bientôt. Merci, Anne-Louise. À bientôt. Have a good day. I hope you guys will have an amazing day as well. Okay? 안녕.